Hi, I'm Margaret Josephs. I'm the owner of the Macbeth Collection. I own a lifestyle brand that I started 14 years ago, and we started with nothing, just an idea, and now I do about $45 million a year. I'd like to help you get started with your idea with some of my tips. Now, first tip, have an idea. An idea is anything you come up with. The great way to come with an idea is have a new product, that nothing is like that on the market. If there's an existing product on the market, improve upon it. And number three is, or if there is a product on the market and you can't improve upon it, make it cheaper than everybody else does. So those three great ways to come up with something new. That's my first tip. Tip number two, be fearless. I was afraid, I'm sure all of you are, when you came up with your idea. But I went to every store, knocked on the door, and I figured, what's the worst they could say is no. And sometimes no actually means yes. It motivates you to go to the next level. And that's all that really happened. So fear is a very big motivating factor. So don't be afraid and get going. Tip number three, more important than knowing what you're good at is knowing what you're not good at. That was my big mistake that I made. I thought I was amazing at everything. Obviously, I wasn't. So focus on what you're good at, and what you're not good at, hire people to do those things. Such as, if you're great at marketing, you focus on that, hire people to do your books. If you can't afford people to do your books, get some interns. Get some friends to work with you. Unfortunately, there are a lot of unemployed people. You could give people profit sharing in your business to help them go along the way. But just really focus on what you're good at and delegate what you're not good at to other people. Tip number four, fake it till you make it. That's what I was always about. I never thought small. Small minds stay small. Think big. Think out of the box. That's what I always say. I always said, you know what? Go for it. I always looked like a big company, even when I was a teeny tiny company. I always presented big. It's all in the packaging. We all know that. So fake it till you make it, girls. Tip number five. This is my favorite tip. Be true to yourself. Be authentic. Be who you really are. Look at me. I wear pigtails. I dress in a crazy way, sometimes very sexy. Who you are really shines through. Women always want to change themselves, be more conservative, fit into a man's world. I walk into a meeting and walk in with all these men, and I look like a little sexkin. And you know what? Sometimes they underestimate me. And that's great, because you know what? Then I can really charm them and come over with my smarts, and they're in total shock. This is work for me. People who are different is what comes across. If you're not true to yourself, that also comes across. You don't feel comfortable. You can't be successful. Women should not fall into that. This society has tried to change women all along and tried to get them to be who they aren't, to fit into a little mold. You have to really be who you are and what you're comfortable being. Don't change. People in the middle, that's where they stay. People who are different, rise to the top. Be the cream. Number six, always be relevant. Always be willing to change. Listen to people around you. Know what's going on. One of my best items came from one of my customers. You know, someone said to me, Margaret, why don't you make a decorative clipboard? I was like, who uses a clipboard? I never use a clipboard. And you know what? It became one of my best-selling products. It's unbelievable. Don't be so stubborn as not to be willing to listen to your customers around you. Your customers are the best people who will tell you what they need. Take advice from other people. Don't be very stubborn. Relevant. Know what's going on in the market. It's a great tip I learned along the way. Tip number seven. Business is all about hype. I knew this right away from the very beginning. It's all about press and social media. And you know what? That's a free thing to do. If you can't afford a PR firm, you look in the back of magazines like I did when I started, look up every editor, and start getting it out there. When I started my business, there was no social media. Now it's amazing. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you girls are older, in your 40s and 50s, you can't do it, you can get interns that are young, hip, and happening. This is all great, inexpensive, free way to get your items out there. It's an amazing way to do marketing, and this is the trend and the way things are going. And since I started doing it, it's even made my business grow. So it's a great tip, and it's so lucky that we're in this age that we can get our businesses going this way. Tip number 8. Unfortunately, when you do start getting successful, or people see you changing and taking a leap of faith and putting your ideas into motion, people get jealous. People say horrible, vicious things to you. Or your customers get mad at you. You must have a very thick skin in this business. People say no, vicious comments. It's unfortunate, but you have to have a very thick skin. Being hypersensitive really doesn't cut it in the business world. I've learned along the way. I've done crying, but now I say in my office to my girls, no crying, it's work. You know what? Or I let them cry for 1 minute. But you know what? You have to put on your happy face and you have to go and pull it together. Never show in public that you're freaking out, having a breakdown. You know what? Don't let them see you sweat. That's the way you gotta roll. My final thing. What you really need is just passion and drive and no excuses. I didn't grow up with any money, a single mother, in the 70s, no connections whatsoever. But you know what? I always had a dream, and I always dreamed big, and I knew there was something better and bigger out there for me, and that's all you have to have. So if I can make it, anybody can.